Hey, what's up, man?
Nothing. Just trying to, come up with ideas for the intro.
Cool.
Okay, what's going on?
Glad you noticed. Been working out.
That's toilet paper, isn't it?
What? No.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Tavern Talk by Initial Reaction. As always, I'm Philip, and joining me this week is a very special guest, Mr. Chris Robinson. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
No, I really appreciate it. Chris is a film and media studies professor at University of Arkansas Little Rock, but you're also the curator for the Arkansas Cinema Society, based here in Little Rock, as well as Telluride. And you work for Turner Classic Movies, so great resume there, and I'm excited you agreed to come on our little show.
It's my pleasure. So.
Just kind of, the bit we do here on Initial Reaction is, obviously we just saw a movie, came out of The Hunt. This is the much discussed, much talked about film that was supposed to come out last September. But there was a little bit of hoopla around it because there were mass shootings that kind of happened around the same time, and that kind of paired with the premise of this movie being sold as liberal elites hunting and killing deplorables, as they're called, or referenced
and
in
it
the
is.
movie. Yeah, that is what it's about. So we just walked out of this movie because it finally has been released. Universal and Blumhouse released it on a Friday the 13th here in March. But initial reaction to The Hunt, tell us kind of what you expected going in.
Well,
and what
the problem is that, because the release had been shelved because of controversy,
right.
People always try and sell the sizzle, so they're trying to market the controversy. So the posters are saying, quotes from the movie rather than a masterpiece, quotes from the movie saying, hateful and evil,
right.
And things like that. In an attempt to gin up the controversy.
Yes.
They're selling the sizzle. And anyone expecting really sharp political satire, from this film will likely be disappointed. But I did laugh at some of the moments, But it's not a film for liberals, because the liberals are the bad guys hunting the deplorables.
Very much so.
And while Trump supporters, may like the idea that this is a film that they can get behind. They might be disappointed that it's not more pointed. I think it's, there are a few gentle lines that poke fun, but, there are no villains wearing Hillary Clinton masks or anything like that.
No, that's true. To kind of start with where you started about selling the controversy, that they were definitely doing that. Do you think the movie itself, just based on the factors of what it was trying to accomplish as a movie, do you think it lived up to the big deal that's been made around it, or do you think it's kind of just like
the controversy is selling the sizzle rather than the movie?
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, it comes from Blumhouse, which does low budget horror movies with a twist.
Right.
We know them from Jordan Peele's Get Out,
yeah.
And they've also done the Purge series, which also has a bit of a political slant.
I was going to say very, very similar.
And
to
I think you recently reviewed the Invisible Man movie, which takes a Me Too slant on the classic H.G. Wells Invisible Man story.
Very true, yes.
So they're known for doing a little something. But I found it was rather effective for what it was, an action gore movie. I don't think it has too much horror film value, but it's got some shock value.
I would agree. It's not a scary movie. Like, this is very much a dark comedy with some gross out gags.
Yes, and I think we were talking earlier that say Drew Barrymore in Scream, or perhaps Janet Leigh in Psycho. It kills off a lot of the characters earlier, and you never know who's going to get it. And there are booby traps and heads exploding in imaginative fashion. Let's see, we've got an eye gouged out with a high heel. We've got, a hand grenade disemboweling people. I think we've got punji sticks in a pit shown extremely graphically. And,
it makes no
there's
qualms
plenty
about
of
that. Yeah.
There's plenty of blood spurting and jugular veins being let loose in the film. So it delivers those goods.
Yeah, and that to kind of mention like Betty Gilpin, who you might know from Glow, and then of course Hilary Swank, 2-time Academy Award winner Hilary Swank, are the kind of two characters that anchor either side. But there are a bunch of like solid character actors here, like you were talking about, like Emma Roberts and Ike Barinholtz, Ethan Suplee, Sturgill Simpson is in here. People like Reed Birney, who you'll recognize, but you don't know like a lot of these names. But a lot of people you recognize.
They seem familiar, and then a lot of them get knocked off. Surprisingly, you never can tell who the protagonist is because they might get an arrow in the back of the head or something like that. That part of it I did find shocking, but very in a fun way. Like it was definitely having a good time. With its premise in that regard. And in terms of shocking stories about people hunting people, that goes way back to The Most Dangerous Game, made by the creators of King Kong in 1932. Stars Fay Wray. It's about a guy who likes to hunt people because people are the most dangerous game. Most recently, the most controversial one previously was Kinji Fukasaku's Battle Royale in Japan, in which high school kids are put on a desert island and forced to battle each other to the death. And that sort of thing.
Yeah,
it pops up again in Hunger Games.
I was going to say, a lot of people say Hunger Games kind of found inspiration in that, in Battle Royale.
Yeah, and my kids play Fortnite, and there's a Fortnite, Battle Royale mode where you're on an island and you try and kill the other people.
Oh, okay. See, I'm not hip enough to know the Fortnite stuff.
So. But Battle Royale, was another film that was widely considered offensive, for its time because, the premise seems horrible, but when you get down to it and you're watching the thing, it's a well-made action movie.
No, it just kind of, sparks some ideas. Like it's there to not only serve as being shocking, but kind of, open people up to maybe perspectives they're not, typically accustomed to. Do you think The Hunt did that in any way? Do you think anybody's minds will be opened, or will it just be kind of like, because it's very much...
I chuckled, at some of the political jokes, the liberals, not wanting to kill a pig, or, talking about, going to help out in like Africa or wherever, and there are jokes about the conservatives who believe anything they read on 4chan or whatever website they go on to. But I think that frankly that'll probably go over the heads of a lot of people. It works best as a fairly violent action film with good guys and bad guys. And, Betty Gilpin, I think, is remarkably good.
She's great.
As the lead. She is no nonsense, sullen, mean, kills people. I wouldn't say Schwarzenegger-like, but, you could see a career for her, as an action film actress, and some of the fights are very well staged.
Yeah, she definitely carves out her own place in the action hero pantheon, I guess you could say. She's very much, she very much defines the character. She's not, just your standard stock heroine. She's very much a person who you could see, living, breathing among all of us. Like she does very well to humanize her in this ridiculous, outlandish situation that the character's been put in. I thought she was
and she's
fantastic.
Very no nonsense.
Yes,
and,
absolutely.
To me, the highlight of the film, I don't know if that's giving too much away, is the climactic death battle between Ms. Gilpin, who plays the character Crystal, and Hilary Swank
Yes,
as the evil corporate, genius Athena.
Yes, yeah. Everything it builds up to is paid off very well as far as the action and the gore and all that goes. It's very
and that's
well
like
staged.
set. It starts out being set in a kitchen, where Hilary Swank is talking about cutting tomatoes and making the right, grilled cheese sandwich, and
Right.
then they start just beating the tar out of each other, and the film critic Joe Bob Briggs, used to end his film reviews with the various types of gore or decapitation.
Now that Grandma has left the room, let's take a look at the old Evil Dead barf meter. This is the Paint the Room Red Vomit Champion of the 1980s, and as you can see, it's off the scale.
Like helicopter blade foo,
Okay.
or serrated alligator knife foo, and this ending battle does all sorts of interesting things, where people are injuring themselves with Cuisinart blades,
Yeah.
and they're gouging each other's stomach with Cuisinart blades, which I thought was rather creative.
Yeah, a lot of it was creative, and they kept the comedy kind of laced through the action scenes. Like, it never was just full on choreographed action. They always they let those character moments breathe, which was great and really funny. Also, I kind of wanted to touch on outside of the performances are fun, the premise is outlandish but funny. But do you think, like, you kind of touched upon this, is that largely all it amounts to be? Is it kind of much ado about nothing in the fuss, whereas the satire just kind of treads the top of the water instead of delving too deep?
I don't know that it has any deeper political meaning, and I think those people who go to the film, expecting to see, some cutting-edge satire, or a vindication or an indictment of, say, Donald Trump, will be sorely disappointed. But it does have its tongue in cheek, and I think it manages to be rather droll about that stuff without getting too deep. I think where the film works, is an action movie with lots of severed limbs, blood.
Yeah, and see that's maybe where I kind of faltered with it, because I probably went in expecting the satire to be a little more sharper, to maybe get a little more out of this, because they're obviously trying to satirize like the state of the modern world and how divided it feels and everything like that. And so I was hoping they would
it wasn't. I think that was their intent heading out. The director's given interviews saying that he wanted this to like sort of be a satire on our political differences, but also an action movie. If you're looking for entertainment, this works as an action film and does it efficiently. It manages to pack a lot of stuff in 90 minutes. It's fast moving.
It's very,
manages to cover a lot of ground. It's very efficient in terms of what it does.
Yeah, and I say maybe I was expecting that because it was directed by Craig Zobel, who did a little movie called Compliance. He's done a lot of other stuff, worked on a lot of TV series as well, but I just remember seeing Compliance.
Yeah, he's done like a Westworld episode or other stuff
Leftovers.
like that. So he's worked in the genre, if you will.
Right. And it was just, I just remember seeing Compliance for the first time, and it's maybe just consistently tense for, like you said, it's efficient, but it's consistent. And it comes from, speaking of Leftovers and like Lost and everything, Damon Lindelof and Nick Hughes are the writers of the screenplay.
Who worked on Watchmen.
Yes. Watchmen, Prometheus, all kinds of, they have a vast
A lot of
resume.
them produced one of the Star Trek ones with J.J. Abrams.
Things
like that.
Yes, So there was a certain pedigree to the team behind it, and so maybe I went in expecting a little too much. But I guess, you're right. If you go in simply expecting just kind of some fun, entertaining moments matched with this outlandish premise and some well-executed action,
the political stuff is a little tongue-in-cheek. What I think both you and I were a little surprised by is it's kind of droll. there are comedy elements to it.
Yes.
It's a black, parts of it are a black comedy.
Oh yeah, very much so.
But, it still delivers the goods as, a violent action film with lots of shooting and explosions.
Yeah, I mean, if I were, like you mentioned the Purge films, those are a good comparison point. I don't know if you saw a movie kind of fall last year called Ready or Not. It felt a little bit like that, but I loved Ready or Not. I thought it played on its premise and social commentary and action stuff really well. I wouldn't say this is Ready or Not level, but it's kind of that vibe. Maybe like You're Next, another one, a recent kind of horror movie that played on these same kind of themes and everything.
It's within the Blumhouse genre and part of their factory, and it lacks the sustained creepiness or unpleasantness, of say an Eli Roth Hostel movie. I enjoyed this film. I found it fun.
Yes, exactly. I wouldn't describe it as a horror movie or as a tense, scary movie in any regard. It was just I would say it's a dark comedy with some fun action.
And it does have that tongue-in-cheek thing that that final woman versus woman Amazon battle to the death at the end, is scored to classical music.
I knew as soon as it opened
there's a
with
little
that.
touch of irony there.
Yeah, absolutely. I enjoyed it, and I don't know if it necessarily would have garnered a whole lot of buzz if it had been released without the controversy.
Yeah, it gives them something to market the film, and otherwise you've got a sort of rather excellent B-grade thriller that might be too easy to ignore. Now you've got a marketing hook. Saying it's it's disgusting or evil or sows division in our country. And, certain people might see it as divisive, but I took it all with a grain of salt.
I think it should definitely be taken lightly and kind of, if you're interested at all, I would definitely probably say go ahead and see it. You'll probably enjoy it.
It delivers the goods. It's not going to change your life or make you rethink your politics, but that was a lean, efficient hour and a half well spent.
Well, on that note, here on Tavern Talk, we usually do an out of 5-star rating for our initial reaction to the movie. So for The Hunt, what would you rate it out of 5 stars?
This overcame my expectations. I didn't sort of buy into the hype that it was dangerous or controversial, and therefore it exceeded my expectations. Just as a action film with gore and shock in it, so I would give it 4 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. I had a lot of fun with it. I'm going to go 4 out of 5 as well. I was hoping the writing and the satire would be a little more sharp.
At times, I was thinking of ways I could make the satire meaner. I mentioned, we could have had the villains wearing Hillary Clinton masks or something, but there could have been a lot of ways where you could make it even more pointed than it was, because it's just it's gentle and smiley. It could have been cutting, but then it might have been really controversial.
Yeah, exactly. So it skirts that line a little bit, but it's still a lot of fun. The violence is well executed, like I said.
And it is violent.
Yes, very violent. It's super gory. If your stomach can't usually handle that, watch out, because there's some crazy stuff going on here. But no, like I said, both of us 4 out of 5 stars for The Hunt. Definitely recommend seeing it on the big screen. We really enjoyed it. And if you're going to venture out, if you're going to be brave and venture out to the movie theaters and see The Hunt, definitely do so at a movie tavern. As every week, we'll want to thank them for letting us screen the movies here, shoot the show in the theater afterwards. Definitely appreciate it. And if you have a movie tavern near you, check that out. And we want to thank you for checking out the review. As always, hit the subscribe button below. We try to produce a new review of the biggest release every week, so hit that notification bell so you know when we upload a new video. And thank you, Chris, once again for joining me. I really appreciate it.
I must say, for my part, I've never been to this movie tavern before. It's very nice. I had a beer before the movie.
That might have, I don't think it influenced it at all, but but no, it's a lot of fun. Thank you for joining me. I really, really do appreciate it. Thank you once again, and I don't know if we'll see you next week, but we'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye. Hey man, what's up?
Okay.
And I'll be like, oh, nothing, sorry. And you just be like, what's going on?
I have band-aids on my nipples.
Okay.
We can start with that.
There's the tag at the end.
Oh.